So coming up, our most requested episode yet. Improvisation is the X factor behind some of the greatest tracks of the rock era. Truly moments of spontaneous genius born from gifted talent and instinct. On this episode, we're going to count down 6 more stories of improv magic, including a teenager who was just walking down the street, and he decided to visit a studio that caught his eye. He laid down a scratch vocal on a song that he improvised on the spot, and that scratch vocal became the first big hit for a label that pretty much became its own genre. Then there was this fiddle player that got a random invite to a session from a friend, and the band had no idea who he was or that he'd even been invited. But he started playing, and it was so powerful, it put the finishing touches on one of the greatest rock anthems ever. Plus, there was the 16-year-old opera singer who was supposed to sing a small part in a lower octave, but she decided to sing it much higher, and it became the defining vocal of a famous hit we all sing every day. Plus, the unknown singer who was supposed to sing a couple of notes over a musical bed, but she belted out a wordless display of sounds and emotions that astonished a band and became a crucial part of an album that spent 18 and a half years on the charts. Improv Magic Part 2 is coming up next on Professor of Rock. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you remember getting an Orange Julius at the mall back in the day, you're going to dig this channel of deep musical nostalgia. Make sure to subscribe below right now and become a part of this, a permanent part of it. Also, make sure to check out our podcast. It's both on Apple and Spotify, and our Vintage Years collection below. Okay, so a few months ago, we did an episode on Improv Magic. You know, we counted down some of the most iconic songs that came from crazy circumstances. You know, there was the one about Bon Scott, who was the chauffeur for an up-and-coming band called AC/DC, and one night he just jumped on the stage and jammed with them, and the next day he was their lead singer because he killed it. And then, of course, the story about Strawberry Alarm Clock when they recorded the #1 hit, Incense and Peppermints. Nobody in the band could nail the vocal, and then they had this 16-year-old friend that was there who just stepped up and tried it. He was just there watching the session, and he made it a smash that it's become. After that, we got like 1,200 requests for a part 2. It's our most requested episode of the year. It did over 1 million views in just a couple of weeks. So we're going to do a part 2. Also got an email with a couple of stories that I refamiliarized myself with. And there's so many cool stories out there. I love these types of stories because they're about people like you and I that just have these incredible moments. So here they are, 6 of the greatest moments of improv magic that led to some of the greatest songs ever. Starting at number 6, I have the story behind one of the most amazing guest vocals put to a track ever. Let's go behind the story of Clare Torry's remarkable performance on the Great Gig in the Sky from Pink Floyd's landmark Dark Side of the Moon album. Now, in January 1973, just a few weeks before the Dark Side of the Moon was set to be completed, the band found themselves searching for something special. They wanted to add an emotional edge to one of the album's most haunting tracks, one they were truly proud of, but they didn't know exactly what they were looking for. They decided it'd be cool to have a singer come in and just sing a few notes over the music of Richard Wright's composition, The Great Gig in the Sky. You know, nothing too much, just to really deepen the song's cosmic sense of mortality. So they started searching for the right singer. Now, at this time, the engineer Alan Parsons remembered a talented vocalist he'd worked with previously, a girl named Clare Torry. She was a 25-year-old songwriter and session singer, part-time. Now, she didn't have a ton of experience, but she was known for her expressive voice, and Parsons thought that she would be up to the task. So the band reached out to her, and they hoped for her to arrange just a quick session, you know. In fact, they wanted to do it that very evening. Problem was, Clare had other plans. She had tickets to see the great Chuck Berry in concert that night. Her schedule was full. But undeterred, they booked a 3-hour session for the following day. It was on a Sunday, on January 21st. They were in a hurry to get this done. Little did they know, that session would become legendary, as Clare's spontaneous improvisation would produce one of the most haunting and iconic vocal performances in rock history. An unplanned burst of emotion that would forever change the song and her life. As Clare stepped into the studio, just expecting to sing a few notes over that music, a different kind of magic took over completely. David Gilmour handed her the microphone and just told her to sing whatever came naturally. And then she stepped back and just let instinct guide her. Clare closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and let her emotions lead. She began improvising, her voice soaring, dipping, spiraling, creating an intense wordless solo filled with raw vulnerability. They'd never heard anything like it. She just made up a wordless emotional solo on the spot, and it was heavenly. The band, Alan Parsons and assistant engineer Chris Thomas, watched in silent astonishment. They couldn't believe what they were hearing. Clare wasn't singing a set melody at all. She was channeling a pure emotion, transforming her spontaneous improvisation into a haunting, really cosmic soundscape. Her voice seemed to embody the very essence of fear and longing and acceptance, and it's exactly what the song called for. Yet it exceeded their wildest imagination. Even Parsons, who had heard Clare sing, had no idea she had that inside of her. She let it out, one of rock's most haunting performances ever. This is what Alan Parsons told me about it.
I think Roger felt it was, a very well-constructed Pink Floyd album. I think we all felt that way, but I'm not sure anybody could really have predicted that we'd be talking about it 45 years or whatever it is later.
Right.
It's unbelievable. Everybody worked hard on it. It was well constructed. It was well written. It was well presented. But, more than 40 years later, no, nobody could have predicted that.
You were responsible for some of the album's most notable sonic elements and aspects, and the recruitment of Clare Torry.
I put her name forward as somebody who could do a good job on the song. I really didn't know what they were looking for. They said, "We just need a girl singer on this song," and I said, "Well, I know a great singer called Clare Torry." I didn't realize that they didn't have any words for her.
Yeah.
And she, of course, on the first take, she tried to put in a few "yeah, babies" and "oh yeah, I love you, baby" and all that kind of stuff,
right.
just to sing something. And then, after she'd done it once, the guy said, no words, just sounds. And, but that was what was remarkable about her performance on that. She just improvised away, and no words, just wailing.
So after the recording, she was paid only a standard session fee, even though she was incredible. For many years, that's all she received. I mean, for an album that would spend 18 and a half years on the charts, that wasn't much. However, she later fought to claim her rightful share of the song's royalties, asserting her role as a co-author and songwriter for that. This legal battle with Pink Floyd and EMI eventually resulted in an out-of-court settlement, acknowledging her contribution as it should have been. Clare went on to build a steady career as a session singer, lending her voice to commercials. She worked with artists like Olivia Newton-John and collaborating with bands like Tangerine Dream and Culture Club. Her voice, once improvised in a studio moment of pure emotion, continued to resonate in the music world, inspiring countless artists and reminding us of the power of human spontaneity. Man, I'm still amazed by that performance. Now, coming in at number 5, it's where legend David Bowie had an unknown future superstar visiting his session and help on one of his most memorable hits. The word help here means that he spontaneously arranged and contributed the unforgettable vocal harmonies that elevated said famous song, which we're going to talk about. So in 1974, David Bowie, the master of reinvention, was exploring new musical territories. He was incorporating soul, R&B, and funk into his eclectic sound. For the album Young Americans, David Bowie wanted to craft songs that captured the gritty energy of American street music, but he also sought to incorporate spontaneous moments that could elevate the record beyond, just mere songwriting. One of the most remarkable stories from this period involves a certain singer named Luther Vandross, a young singer with a very soulful voice, still largely undiscovered outside the New York music scene. Now, David Bowie had heard rumblings about this kid named Luther. He had some talent. He decided to bring him into the studio for a session. What happened next was extraordinary. During the recording of the title track, David handed Luther a very simple vocal line and told him to sing it with feeling. No strict notes, just, no preconceived ideas at all, just do what he did. Luther responded instinctively, pouring intestinal emotion into his performance that you just can't teach. All night you want me, I mean, his soulful ad-libs, his vocal runs and spontaneous improvisations added a layer of intensity and really authenticity that David Bowie had never anticipated. Luther's vocal dramatically changed what David envisioned for his song Young Americans. Luther often recalled that special studio session with David Bowie as a defining moment in his career. He remembered feeling a mixture of nerves and excitement, knowing he was about to work with a total legend. When Bowie handed him the song and told him to sing freely, Luther said he went for broke. He poured his soul into it, improvising vocal runs that came straight from his heart. He described the moment as almost spiritual, an intuitive burst of creativity where he wasn't thinking about perfection. He was just thinking about expressing genuine emotion. Luther recounted that Bowie was totally supportive and encouraged him to be spontaneous, just trust his instincts. And that day, Luther felt like he was given a rare gift, the freedom to truly let his voice tell the story. And he knew from that moment that he'd done something really special. It was an organic, unplanned magic that he cherished for the rest of his life. It was the bridge to an illustrious career indeed. Luther Vandross went on to win a total of 8 Grammy Awards during his career and became one of the best-selling artists of his time. Luther is widely regarded as one of the greatest voices in soul and R&B music. And, this moment, it reflects his significant impact on the genre that would follow. It all started with that big, incredible moment with David Bowie on Young Americans. In 1975, Bowie's Young Americans, featuring the glorious backing vocals from Luther Vandross, Ava Cherry, and Robin Clark, and by the way, David Sanborn on alto sax, was a #1 smash in New Zealand, number 18 in the UK, and number 28 on the Billboard Hot 100. Coming up next on Improv Magic Part 2 at our number 4 spot, you probably heard the phrase, "I didn't just walk off the street," meaning someone knows exactly what they're doing. But our next story is about someone who literally did walk off the street. It's a story of pure improv magic that resulted in the very first hit single for Motown Records. So in 1959, a 19-year-old singer named Barrett Strong found himself walking into Hitsville, the legendary headquarters of Motown Records in Detroit. He was young, he was eager, just looking to make a little extra money. The studio caught his eye. He was a virtual unknown, just a local singer with a dream. Now, Berry Gordy, the visionary founder of Motown, was always looking for fresh talent, and on this particular day, he asked Barrett to record a quick demo. It was supposed to be casual, simple scratch vocal to give the musicians a reference. Barrett slowly stepped into the studio, sang what he thought was just a rough version, actually improvised a lot of the stuff on the spot, and then he just left. What no one expected was that this rough, off-the-cuff vocal would become monumental. During that recording session, the studio players and Gordy loved the raw, soulful quality of Barrett's voice. Without overthinking it, Barrett sang with a natural, spontaneous energy, the kind that just can't be manufactured. Money don't get everything is true. Now, Barrett's so-called scratch vocal, it was kept intact. It actually turned out to be the final take on a record to a legendary song that we hear it all the time. That scratch vocal by teenage Barrett Strong was more than a demo. It became the sound of a new era, the sound of Motown, driven by raw emotion, authenticity, and really a little bit of luck. If you believe in destiny, and maybe that's what it was, Money, That's What I Want became a smash hit. It's written by Janie Bradford and Berry Gordy and was Motown's first big hit on a national scale. Skyrocketed to number 2 on the R&B chart and number 23 on the Billboard Hot 100, and it launched the careers of both Barrett Strong and Motown itself into the stratosphere. It was a hit many times after that, including the song the Beatles used to audition for the record label. Decca turned them down, but then they recorded it and released it. That's what I want. Then it was a hit for the Flying Lizards in 1979. But despite playing a crucial role in Motown's first national hit, and improvising some of the lyrics, Barrett Strong was left feeling shortchanged. He claimed that he co-wrote the song alongside Berry Gordy and Robert Bradford, but his name was removed from the copyright registration 3 years after the song was written. It actually wasn't until 1987 when the copyright was renewed that his name was briefly restored, only to be removed again the very next year. Gordy has explained that Strong's name was included initially due to a clerical error. Many believe Strong was unfairly overlooked for his contribution.
But what it don't get, I can't use, I need fun.
Barrett Strong, the teenager who decided to walk into a studio, he went on to an incredible career as a co-writer for huge classics. I mean, I heard it through the grapevine. Just My Imagination, Papa Was a Rolling Stone, many more. He was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2004. He sadly passed away in 2023. Coming in at number 3, some really cool improv that happened in the recording sessions for Games Without Frontiers by Peter Gabriel.
Games without frontiers, war without tears.
And a very special guest who was visiting the studio, and he actually asked her to whisper something that would become a classic misheard lyric and a haunting moment in a great song. So Peter Gabriel was in the studio. He was working on a track that had a very cool, eerie vibe to it. Something that felt both exciting, but also a little unsettling. The song, Games Without Frontiers, it already had a haunting melody. But Peter Gabriel wanted to add a touch of mystery to it, even more, flair, to make the track even more interesting. Now, as fate would have it, Kate Bush was visiting the studio that very day. She happened to walk in. Peter, always open to improvisation and new ideas, suddenly had a spark. So he thought, I've got Kate Bush here. What would she add to this track? And then this crazy thought came. Whispering sweet hauntings. He turned to her and he asked her, Kate, would you mind whispering the phrase, Zeus on Frontier, the title of the song, just softly over the track. Now, Zeus on Frontier means Games Without Frontiers in French. It was an international TV competition run by the European Broadcasting Union, the EBU. It aired for 30 seasons from 1965 to 1999. Very popular back then.
The boat is taking full fire on the Kangaroo.
The competition brought together teams from different countries across Europe to compete in fun and often comedic games, each team proudly representing their nation. Kate Bush, with her delicate heavenly voice and innate sense of intuition, agreed to do this. She closed into the microphone and whispered the phrase. Simple, fragile, and very haunting.
Games without frontiers, war without tears.
Her whispering added a mystical layer to the song, transforming it from just an experimental track into a timeless piece of art. Kate mentioned that her instinct was to keep her voice light, kind of airy, avoiding any force or intensity, so that the whisper would blend seamlessly into the track and enhance its mysterious atmosphere.
Whistling tunes, we piss on the cones in the jungle.
Her instinctive improvisational style helped turn a simple idea into truly one of the song's most memorable and evocative moments. Games Without Frontiers by Peter Gabriel, the whistling of Steve Lillywhite and Hugh Padgham, and of course the improvisational talents of Kate Bush. That song climbed to number 7 in Canada, number 4 in the UK, and number 3 in Ireland in 1980. Should have been a hit here, one of the great songs of the time. Coming in at number 2, I have something unexpected that happened on one of the all-time greatest classic rock tracks. Bob O'Reilly by The Who.
Out here in the fields.
When The Who recorded Bob O'Reilly in the early 1970s, they crafted a song that would become a rock anthem, famous for its powerful guitar riffs, driving rhythm, and a seminal Roger Daltrey vocal that it still blows our minds. One of the most iconic moments in the track, though, is the haunting fiddle solo that closes the song. It was never part of Pete Townshend's original plan for the song, wasn't even on his radar. It never entered his mind even. To include a fiddle? I mean, that wasn't going to happen. In fact, that fiddle part came about really spontaneously. During the recording sessions, Pete and the band had been experimenting with different sounds. But nothing quite clicked for the ending of the song. They were looking for the perfect ending. Then on a whim, someone invited Dave Arbus, a teenage session musician from the band East of Eden, to come into the studio. Now, Dave was a talented fiddle player, but his invitation to drop by was totally random by someone that knew him from the local scene. I didn't think the band knew he was going to be there. Certainly not a planned musical collaborator. Fiddle, like I said, wasn't even in the conversation for this all-time rock hit. But knowing this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, without overthinking it, Dave Arbus picked up his instrument and without hesitation, in one take, he played a spontaneous fiddle solo that took Bob O'Reilly in a different direction for that climactic close. His improvisation brought a surprising emotional intensity and really a sense of atmosphere that no one had anticipated. It transformed what might have been a straightforward fade out into a memorable and impactful musical ending and brought such a haunting sensibility to a track all about freedom. Dave Arbus, who later became a close friend of the Who drummer Keith Moon, said his incredible single-take effort was driven purely by instinct. I mean, he was surprised afterward to learn how much, his playing had resonated and how it had become such a defining feature of the track. But that's why we call it Improv Magic. Completely unpredictable, and that's what makes it so thrilling. The chart performance of Bob O'Reilly by The Who, we've talked about it, very misleading. It only charted in the Netherlands at number 11 and in Australia at number 80. Wasn't even a top 40 hit here. It's, of course, recognized one of the greatest tracks ever. And at number 1 on our Improv Magic Part 2 countdown is what happened behind the scenes on one of the most recognizable sing-along hits of the rock era. My kids sing this every day. It involves another teenage singer that happened to be in the right place at the right time. The group? The Tokens. They were essentially a doo-wop trio from Brooklyn, New York, featuring the brothers Phil and Mitch Margot and then band leader Jay Siegel. At one time, actually, Neil Sedaka was the lead singer for the Tokens, and before Jay Siegel took over those duties. Interesting fact there. The Tokens' big claim to fame, of course, their number 1 smash, The Lion Sleeps Tonight. A song that they reconstructed in 1961. It was a cover of a song originally recorded in 1939 by Saul and Linda, titled Mbube. When the Tokens recorded The Lion Sleeps Tonight, they knew they had a catchy tune, especially with Jay Siegel striking falsetto leading the vocals. His voice was great, but what truly elevated the song into a timeless classic was the unforgettable soaring operatic part that was not in the blueprints for the Tokens redo. Not at all. This is where 16-year-old soprano Anita Darian comes in. Now, she was hired specifically to sing a section of an overdub that initially was just intended as a way to add some extra flair. But, as Anita laid down her vocals, something truly remarkable happened. Her improvisation didn't just fill in the notes, it added a jaw-dropping mystical dimension that transformed the song from, a fun novelty into an emotionally compelling masterpiece, and she was just messing around. But they heard it, and they knew it was amazing. Decades after her overdub on The Lion Sleeps Tonight, Anita Darian still vividly recalls that studio session with a mixture of really surprise and humility. Now, she was only 16 years old at the time. She was a classically trained singer with a background in opera and vocal performance. Her training had instilled in her a deep understanding of technique, but she never imagined how her voice would become part of a pop hit that would reach millions and millions of people that we still sing and hear today. Here's how it went down. The producers, Hugo and Luigi, brought Anita in to record with the Tokens. Now, when Anita arrived at the studio, they handed her the music chart that she was supposed to sing from. and they just ran through it once. Now, as soon as she started singing, she stopped and she said, no, it's too low. I need to sing it an octave higher. Hugo and Luigi looked at her in disbelief and told her, you can't do that. But without hesitation, Anita responded confidently, well, I'm just going to try it. She's kind of messing around. Pretty impressive moxie for a 16-year-old. What the producers didn't know is that Anita could execute 4 workable octaves without turning to falsetto. As you can imagine, she was a little nervous, but full of excitement about being given the opportunity, and she jumped all over it. She truly seized the moment in that moment. Now, the version of The Lion Sleeps Tonight by the Tokens, featuring the additional lyrics by Brill Building writer George Allen Weiss and the angelic operatic overdub vocals by Anita Darian, it was a monster hit. It roared to #1 in Canada, and of course it went to #1 here on the Billboard Hot 100. Now, after the mega success of The Lion Sleeps Tonight, the Tokens had 3 more entries into the top 40. I Hear Trumpets Blow in 1966, that went to #30. A Portrait of My Love in 67 at #36, and then there was a remake of Wilson Pickett's Midnight Hour in 1973 that peaked at #30.
Together, I hear trumpets blow.
Anita Darian went on to sing on a variety of musical theater numbers, as well as pop and classical music for the New York Philharmonic. Man, what an amazing story. And get this, she also provided the early high-pitched character voices for Alvin and the Chipmunks. Now, Anita died at the age of 87, and those who had the good fortune to work with her gave her huge praise for her amazing talent and her exceptional professionalism. She was truly a class act from those who worked with her. Leave us a comment. I hope you enjoyed Improv Magic Part 2. There's going to be a Part 3 if you want it. Let me know. But what do you think? What are your memories of these songs? What do you think? What are some other improv songs or improv magic? I love it when it's just a regular person like you and me, who's sometimes they're not even looking to be a star. They just happen to be at the right place at the right moment, and they step up and make it happen. Let's have a great discussion below and discuss this. If you like our content, we invite you to subscribe. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.